All right, guys. So today we visited Cartesian City, kind of a little play there on the Cartesian plane, the coordinate plane here. We've got town center at the origin there. You would have determined all of these points today that your home is located at 5-3, your friend's home is at 15-3. The park is located directly in between your home and your friend's house at 10-3. The school is located 16 blocks south from your home, and the bus stop lies directly in between at 5-5. And the grocery store, you would have determined the midpoint of today as well, using the midpoint formula between the school and your friend's house. Now, what we're looking at in the self-assessment today is you are walking directly from your home to town center, and then from town center directly to the trick-or-treat spot. And then from the trick-or-treat spot, you are going to walk directly home, but you need to stop by your grandparents, and they live exactly halfway between this trick-or-treat spot and your house. All right, so what we want to determine first is the total distance you will have to walk to get to the trick-or-treat house from your house. So you're moving from your home here to town center first, and then from town center to the trick-or-treat spot. So what we're going to do first here is we're going to make a slope triangle here, okay? So this is one way you can find the distance between 2 points, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use what's called the Pythagorean theorem, all right? So really what we are concerned with is this distance right here. Let me do it in green so you can see it a little bit better. We're concerned with this distance, but what we can use is this thing called the Pythagorean theorem, okay? And what the Pythagorean theorem says is we can take this horizontal change of 3, and we can take this, that's a vertical change, right, of 3 up and down, and then we can take this horizontal change of 5, and then we can do, I guess that would be 3 squared. We'll do it up here. 3 squared plus 5 squared is equal to, let's just call it c squared, okay? 3 squared plus 5 squared is equal to c squared. And then as you solve this thing down, just some quick math here, 9 plus 25 is equal to c squared. 25 plus 9 is going to be 34, equal to c squared. And then you're going to have to take the square root of both sides, okay? And the square root of 34 is 5.8 units, all right? So we've walked 5.8 blocks at this point. That's going to be the square root of 34, but that's not our total distance traveled, right? Because we also need to add on this distance that we're about to walk from town center to this trick-or-treat spot, okay? So what I want to show you guys next is you can actually also use what's called the distance formula here. Instead of making a slope triangle, which you could also do here, we're instead going to use this fancy formula called the distance formula. Okay, and the distance formula we've got right up here. You take the difference in the x's, square them, plus the difference in the y's, and square them, and then take the square root, and that's going to give you the distance. Now this right here, the distance formula, that's just a fancy version of the Pythagorean theorem. You're essentially solving the same thing. So let's do this. We're going to call -8, 9. We're going to call this our x1 and our y1, okay? And we're going to call 0, 0. We're going to call this our x2 and our y2. And then we're going to use this big, long, ugly-looking formula, which really is not that bad, the distance formula, okay? And we're going to go x2 minus x1, okay? So that's going to be 0 minus a -8, okay? Beware of the double negative. And square it, plus y2 minus y1, which is 9, okay? Square it. And then as we work our way through here, 0 minus a -8, that's going to be a +8 squared, okay? Plus a 0 minus 9 is going to be -9 squared, okay? And let's just keep on working our way down here with these calculations. Let me go back to my pen. So we're looking at the square root of 64 plus 81. That's going to be a +81 here because a -9 squared is a -9 times a -9, which gives us a +81. 64 plus 81, let me just double check that, sorry about that, is 145. All right, so we're going to throw 145 in here. And then the square root of 145 is approximated at about, let me check, about 12.04. And we can't say 12 because the square root of 144 is 12, so that wouldn't be accurate. So we have to say 12.04. So what this is this distance right here, about 12.04. So for the first question here, it's asking us what is the total distance that you'll have to walk to get from your home to the trick-or-treat spot. We're going to say that's 5.8 plus 12.04. And 5.8 plus 12.04 is going to be 17.84 blocks. Okay, now that's what we're looking for the total distance traveled. All right, the second part to this question now is saying that you need to find the coordinate pair of your grandparents' house who live directly between the trick-or-treat spot and your home. Okay, so let's do this. Let's call the trick-or-treat spot -8, 9. We're going to call -8, 9 our x1, y1 in this case. Okay, and we're going to call our home 5, 3. We're going to call this x2, y2. Okay, and if we use this other formula up here, the midpoint formula, that takes the x's, adds them, and divides by 2. Let me get a different color here. We're going to take the x's, -8 plus 5, and divide by 2. And we're going to take the y's, 9 plus 3, and divide by 2. And this is going to ultimately give us a coordinate pair. So -8 plus 5 is -3. So we're going to have -3 halves, comma. 9 plus 3 is 12. 12 divided by 2 is 6. So we're looking at a coordinate pair here of -3 halves, comma 6.